Dancing on the graves of Christian children, really? Defending the shooter as a victim because of his gender ideology? This latest tragedy, the Minneapolis shooting, is another reminder that we don't just have different political views. The left is downright evil. This is DC Dispatch, and I'm Kristi Leigh. Just one day after the horrific attack on children, leftist accounts are now saying things like, "More dead Christians, LOL," or "This is Republicans' fault for trying to genocide us." They are blaming the Trump administration for not affirming their mental sickness. Unbelievable. What else we're learning about that shooting is coming up. We're also welcoming Brandon Straka, founder of the Walkaway Movement, shortly to weigh in and how these former Dems are on the offense, protecting our country from socialism. But first, we want to check in with our Allison Steinberg. She is live in DC with the latest out of the press briefing held today and some major shakeups in Maha. Allison?
Hi, Kristi. Yes, it was another busy day here at the White House. Lots of jam-packed info in the press briefing today. Karoline Leavitt, of course, opened the briefing, giving condolences and prayers to all of the families that were tragically impacted by the shooting that you just mentioned that took place yesterday in Minneapolis. So devastating what's happened there. But, of course, the liberals, leave it to them to never tell the full story in that regard, but Karoline did touch on that. She also mentioned how Jen Psaki went after Vice President J.D. Vance for saying that he was praying for all of the families. That was a question that was asked to Karoline, and she really ripped into Jen Psaki for condemning, really, Vice President J.D. Vance for praying, which is very telling, I think. But aside from that, crime was another big topic that was covered in the briefing today. Karoline Leavitt highlighted that 1,283 arrests have been made since President Trump federalized D.C. Crime is down 19%, carjacking is down 67%, robberies down 40%, motor vehicle theft down 32%. And of course, we had that cashless bail executive order signed earlier in the week to help put a permanent end to the insanity here in D.C. So great work being done by President Trump. Hopefully his efforts are now looking to expand out into the other liberal cities that desperately need him, namely Chicago, which was another big topic of discussion in the briefing today. Brandon Tatum was actually in the new media seat and asked about that. Of course, we know Chicago has been giving a lot of pushback and receiving help in controlling the crime issue there, but it sounds like Trump is going to want to move in there. So it was a good briefing. Of course, there were also questions asked about the latest shakeup at the CDC. That was actually, I believe, the first or second question that was asked. CDC Director Susan Monterez has been fired by the Trump administration after refusing to resign. Ultimately, she did not align with the MAHA agenda. She is on record saying mRNA is perfectly safe for your kids. And she was on the job for about 4 weeks, and now she has officially been fired. I guess there was some confusion there because she was asked to step down by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. She said she would, then she wouldn't. So then actually Trump stepped in and gave her the axe. So Karoline Leavitt, like I said, was asked about this. Let's take a listen to what she had to say in response.
Caroline, thank you so much. First on the firing of the CDC director,
Sure.
Who will replace her? And then also, overnight the White House said that she did not align with the president's agenda. Dr. Menard's attorneys say that she refused to rubber stamp unscientific, reckless directives and fire dedicated health experts. What specifically did she do wrong?
Look, what I will say about this individual is that her lawyer's statement made it abundantly clear themselves that she was not aligned with the president's mission to make America healthy again. And the secretary asked her to resign. She said she would, and then she said she wouldn't, so the president fired her, which he has every right to do. It was President Trump who was overwhelmingly reelected on November 5th. This woman has never received a vote in her life, and the president has the authority to fire those who are not aligned with his mission. A new replacement will be announced by either the president or the secretary very soon. And the president and Secretary Kennedy are committed to restoring trust and transparency and credibility to the CDC by ensuring their leadership and their decisions are more public-facing, more accountable, strengthening our public health system, and restoring it to its core mission of protecting Americans from communicable diseases, investing in innovation to prevent, detect, and respond to future threats. That's the mission of the CDC, and we're going to make sure that folks that are in positions of leadership there are aligned with that mission.
So I think that's a good sign that she was let go. It makes me feel like things are moving in a positive direction. And we also have, Kristi, been hearing quite a bit about Robert F. Kennedy having a big announcement come September. This was mentioned in the cabinet meeting earlier in the week that he was going to have a big announcement about a breakthrough bombshell report related to autism. I speculate it may have to do with the vaccines causing autism. So I don't know. It's a little confusing. It's hard to understand exactly why this is all happening right now, but I think it's ultimately a positive and a step in the right direction. Of course, there were 4 other officials that announced their resignation right after she made her departure, one of which was Dr. Dimitri Daskalakis. For those that don't remember, he was the monkeypox czar. So it's good that these people are being rooted out, but I'm eager to see where this leads and what this means for the future, especially pertaining to the COVID shots.
Well, we know how much our president loves the YMCA song, and the monkeypox guys seemed like he should be more like in the Village People as opposed to working in health. I'm sure many of you have seen his pictures on social media with his shirt off, wearing Village People type outfits. I mean, but yeah, he can go do something like that as opposed to be in health. But this is just ridiculous at this point. We all know Donald Trump originally from the show he did, The Apprentice, and he had no problem saying, you're fired. And now anytime he is in this great position of importance to try and carry out and be a good businessman for the American people that elected him, he is constantly impeded. So he just had this with Lisa Cook, trying to fire her for cause. There is cause if they can prove that I don't know how you can't prove at that point, but I guess I'll just say alleged, even though it's in writing that she's signing for 2 primary residences. But she's suing him, and then we have this. I'm not going to go. It's just insane. Like these, as she said, and as you've said, these are individuals that were not elected by the American people. Donald Trump is the one that was elected, and he's trying to carry out the will of the people. And these people have no shame to just be like, well, I'm not going to leave. Not going to do it.
It's ridiculous, but I guess I wouldn't really expect anything less from them. I guess, like I said, the good thing is that those 4 others did leave shortly after she finally did. So, it's just ridiculous. These people never should have been in any position of power or government to begin with. So I'm grateful that it seems that the corruption is being rooted out, and I hope that is, a positive step in the right direction, ultimately in getting rid of this COVID shot permanently, which I don't know if it's going to happen because though the FDA did just rescind emergency use authorization for the COVID-19 vaccines, which is good, yes. But with that, it's kind of a double-edged sword because RFK did post to X saying that he's promising 4 things: 1, to end COVID vaccine mandates; 2, to keep COVID vaccines available to people who want them, especially the vulnerable; 3, to demand placebo-controlled trials from companies; and 4, to end the emergency. So yes, he has ended the emergency. This should have been ended long ago. So better late than never. But with that being said, I'm still disturbed by the fact that he wants to keep the vaccines available to those who want them. And yes, I guess we get into the argument of should you have the option to take it if you want to? Perhaps, but the bottom line is here, these shots cause far more harm than good. Innumerable people have unfortunately died and suffered severe adverse reactions as a result of the COVID shots, as we know, as leaders in the field like Dr. Peter McCullough, point out and highlight every single day. It's not helping anyone. It's not doing anyone any favors, and I think they need to be pulled off the market completely. Then you still have Trump, of course, saying that Operation Warp Speed was one of the greatest accomplishments of all time. So it's hard to sort of see where this is all going. I'd like to think positively and think that we're finally going to put an end to the COVID shots, but then you see something like that and I don't know, maybe second guess it. What do you think, Kristi?
Yeah, I mean, I do get the argument of having the products available for those that want to try. I mean, if we're gonna put that in context with anything else, like we should have had the right to use ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, but we impeded every way.
Yeah.
So I do think that that supersedes. It's just we need to be able to give informed consent. People really need to be able to know and understand the risks, and if they personally feel like the benefit to them would outweigh the risk, then okay, fine, let them do it. But it's good news to see that the emergency use authorization has finally been rescinded. To me, it's far too late. I mean, just in the
Yeah.
name emergency, we haven't been in a COVID emergency for how long now? And this remained in effect. And they were able to use these measures to force this upon people. And you always get the Democrats who say, "Oh, nobody was forced to do it." Yes, yes, they were. How willingly are you able to give up your livelihood, your ability to support your children? I mean, obviously, there was plenty of brave people that did, but there were some that was just too much. You were threatening their ability to feed their families. I mean, so it's always been an absurd argument, especially absurd that we're now having to constantly hear from the legacy media that Trump is a dictator and authoritative, as if we are all supposed to just forget that we were forced and living in tyranny and forced masks exposure, like under the Biden administration. It's so ridiculous.
It is beyond ridiculous. And, I think, to your point, I think it's just so absurd that this was considered an emergency up until this point. I mean, it's just laughable. How does anyone continue to go along with this and think that this is somehow normal? I don't know. But again, I guess it's
Also,
better late than never.
Isn't it kind of sobering though to like think about it? Like, to me, I don't know how you feel, but to me, it seems like we just went through this. Like, but that was 2020. We are in 2025.
Yes.
But they
I
have been
know.
trying to push all this tyranny and push this propaganda on us so aggressively that it almost seems like it was more recent. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's the sobering point here. It is 2025. This happened in
Yeah.
2020, and the emergency use authorization has been in play this whole time. Like, are you kidding me?
It's so deeply disturbing to me. And you're right, it's hard to believe that it was 5 years ago that all of this started taking place. It feels like it was just yesterday. It feels like, I don't even know how time goes by so quickly, but it does. It's been 5 years. And so, yeah, long overdue for the emergency use authorization to be enacted. Thank goodness it's finally rescinded. And I hope with that comes the end of the COVID shots once and for all, or at least a black box label, right? At least let people know what they're getting themselves into for all of those brainwashed Democrats out there who still think they need to be fully vaxxed to the max. Like, come on, guys, do you not get it yet? But hey, I guess to each their own. Hopefully one day they will no longer be available. That's my wish, because I don't want to see anyone die or suffer severe adverse reactions as a result of these horrible poison injections. But with that too, Kristi, I also want to point out, transitioning sort of into this other issue at hand, the tragic killing that happened yesterday in Minneapolis. Another drug that we need to be wary of are SSRIs, which are commonly prescribed to people who suffer from depression and mental illness. Of course, this is a common theme amongst the transgender community, and we know that the man yesterday that shot those poor innocent children was severely deranged, was a transgender, changed its name from Robin to Robert. And these people need to be seriously looked into. I mean, this is an ongoing issue here. I just looked it up. 41% of the trans community is on SSRIs. So this is a very common thing. Obviously, the theme here is they're all mentally unwell. And we continue to see these people commit heinous crimes like what just happened yesterday. Now, RFK did just announce he is going to conduct an investigation into the effects of these SSRIs and their contribution to the trans violence. Let's take a listen to this clip from him.
Prevented, and we're still trying to get a lot of answers to a ton of questions. But the one thing is clear: you are dealing with a a person who's trans, that was transitioning. Are you going to be examining at all some of the drugs that are used in order to make that transition happening, to see if it plays a role? Because we also know there was a trans shooter in the Tennessee situation.
Yeah, we are doing those kind of studies now at NIH. We're launching studies on the potential contribution of some of the SSRI drugs and some of the other psychiatric drugs that might be contributing to violence. You know, many of them on there have black box warnings that warn of suicidal ideation and homicidal ideation. So we can't exclude those as a culprit, and those are the kind of studies that we're doing.
So I've never seen that medicine, but you're saying that if you get it, some of the side effects could be homicide, suicide?
Well, there are black box warnings on some of these psychiatric drugs that warn about, in their clinical trials, that they saw suicidal and homicidal ideation. So, you know, we are going into that with an open.
So definitely an important issue to get on top of, especially because there is a huge link to the trans people consistently taking these drugs. The fact that these drugs are doled out by, the so-called experts, these doctors that you just go into their office for what, a 5-10 minute consultation, tell them, oh yeah, I'm not feeling great, I think I'm depressed. They are so quick to just write you a prescription. I know this firsthand because sadly I used to take them myself before I woke up and found the Lord and realized I didn't need any of that crap. But it's just sad to know how easily obtainable this is and what the devastating consequences of these drugs are that many people are just encouraged to take, and that's somehow normalized. I'd also like to point out, too, I just saw this breaking news. America First Legal is now reporting Biden's FDA new puberty blockers. So this is another issue. The puberty blockers were linked to increased risk of depression and suicidality. Yet they still recommend approving them for children. So the Biden administration knew what they were doing. Democrats know what they are doing, yet they still continue to back these drugs. They back this lifestyle. They back this ideology. They promote it. They prey on vulnerable children who are maybe going through a difficult time and tell them that changing your gender is the answer to all of your problems. Yeah, take these puberty blockers, take these SSRIs, chop off your body parts, it'll make you happy. And then we have this horrifying epidemic of mentally unwell adults who end up killing innocent children. It's devastating, and it absolutely has to stop.
Yeah, and it's really sad that even in the manifesto of this most recent attack, he's talking about how he says something like, I brainwashed myself into thinking I was a girl. Now I'm kind of sick of it. I want to maybe cut my hair, but then it's going to expose me. You know, so it's basically, there's so many cries for help, and we're just feeding into more depression and suicide, and then giving them mind-altering drugs on top of it. Like, what did you think was going to happen? And what is also sad in this topic is that we can't have honest conversations about it, because when we look at trends, a lot of the times with these mass shootings, whether they be a school shooting or others, it's very difficult to even get the truth of what these people were taking or were on because of HIPAA laws and things like that. So I don't think we're even ever been given the full picture, the biggest story of how much these drugs play a role in these massively violent attacks. It's easier to just say, oh, guns are the problem, but we're missing a huge part of the data. Like, can anyone tell us how often people that have done these things have been prescribed these kinds of drugs? And I just don't know how or when we'll be able to get that information, perhaps with RFK Jr. at the helm and at least having an interest. Maybe we can get after some of that information without, revealing people's, because I mean, that's the thing. HIPAA is supposed to be the privacy of the individual. But if we're collecting it for data to see if there's a problem that could harm our community, then just give us the general numbers, right?
Well, yeah, and if the individual who goes and shoots 2 innocent kids and then kills himself is now dead, is there really any harm in releasing the medical records? I don't think so. But yeah, it all goes to show how ridiculous this situation is that Democrats continue to defend this. They need to be held accountable, I think. And what's more disturbing is that people like you and I, Kristi, can't even talk openly about the facts of this scenario. I just got censored for attempting to tell the truth about the story. I was just reporting the facts. I put together a nice little 3-minute video about what happened in the shooting yesterday, posted it up to both X, which is supposed to be a free speech platform, and Instagram. And lo and behold, I got severely censored on X. They were limiting my reach. People were telling me they wanted to share the video and they repost it, so it was blocking people from reposting. And then over on Instagram, they just removed the video entirely. They gave me a warning saying that I was going after, a targeted group of people, so they didn't like that I was, trying to unveil the transgender angle and all this, and how Democrats enable and promote this lifestyle. I guess that was cause for removal of my video. So it's just ridiculous. You would think that perhaps the fake news outlets that are trying to say that this was a woman and they don't know what the motivation for the shooting was might be the one censored. But no, of course, it's the real conservatives who are trying to tell the real story and share the real news who get censored and silenced and shut down continually. So I would like to ask the Trump administration what's being done about this. I know our great leader here at LindellTV, Mike Lindell, is actually suing Mark Zuckerberg for this very issue. So that is good news. I'm just hoping we make some big headway here and ultimately get free speech in this country once and for all. It's a critical issue, I think, Kristi.
Yeah, I was looking at and reading the reasons they gave you for taking that video down, and it struck me as extremely ironic that it was saying, oh, we don't allow videos that can provoke violence or target a community. And yet you were telling a story about how this psycho targeted a group, a specific community, children that were Christian at a Catholic school, and not only targeted them, but killed them. So that would classify as violent. So it's like, you're not allowed to tell a story of how this has been done. It's like,
exactly,
because somehow that makes you targeting. Like, what? No, you're defending the community. You're raising awareness that a community was targeted from leftist ideology, and yet that gets taken down. It's quite
it makes absolutely no sense. And as I spoke with Mike Lindell earlier on his show about this, actually earlier, he pointed out that all of this censorship issue is mainly boils down to artificial intelligence and these AI algorithms that hear a couple key words and then you're automatically flagged. So they don't even really understand. No one understands. These so-called fact checkers don't understand that I was actually defending the victims and pointing out some inconsistencies and hypocrisies here. And so I just get flagged because of these AI algorithms. And then the icing on the cake is I don't even have the option to appeal it. I can't even tell them, hey, you're wrong, you messed up. I just get the flag on my account and get my video taken down and limited reach. So, I guess that's the world we live in today. I really pray that this lawsuit against Mark Zuckerberg makes some real headway and we get free speech back here in America. Or maybe the Trump administration can do something about it. I don't know. I know Trump was very passionate about this not long ago. So hopefully he still has a heart for this issue and can do something about it too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for continuing to report. And if you want to see Allison's reporting, of course, you can continue to check on Insta and X and all that. But make sure that you're on Vocal and other places to make sure you're not missing any of Allison's good content. So thank you again, Allison.
Thank you so much, Kristi.
You bet. The inability to have just conversations, to debate, the hatefulness, the vitriol that comes from the left is what's caused a lot of people to be like, wait a minute, I don't want to be on this side. I'm not sure that this is what I've stood for. I wanted unity. I wanted to be able to talk to others. and defend the innocent. And so that's really caused a massive movement of walk away, people leaving the Democrat Party. So coming up, we're going to be joined by Brandon Straka, the founder of the walkaway movement. So very excited about that. But just a quick reminder, we want to hear from you. We want to know what you want to hear about. Algorithms aside, just let us know what you're interested in learning more about, who you want us to talk to. So you can do that by sending your news, tips, and ideas to news@LindellTV.com. Just email news@LindellTV.com, and you can be part of our programming decisions. You can help us decide what to serve you with, what information you're looking for. And while you're at it, sign up for a Vocal. That's VOCL Vocal. And there's a platform that won't work and gaslight you with algorithms. You just post and it will be shared, and we're not going to censor. They're not going to take you down. As Allison was just saying, still have some problems with X in that regard sometimes. So if you want a real, true free speech platform and to connect with hosts like myself and reporters like Allison, then sign up on Vocal, and I'm there. Kristi Leigh TV at vocal.com. All right, quick break, and we're going to be back in just one moment.
Welcome to Vocal, the free speech social app that gives you a platform to amplify your voice, speak freely, connect boldly, and be part of a growing movement for truth, faith, and freedom. Want to know what's happening right now? The Now Playing feature shows you exactly who's live and what's streaming in real time. Check out the show's feed, a non-stop lineup including LindellTV News 24/7, shows and on-demand programming all in one place. Connect with your favorite host and never miss a show. Explore the featured page for quick access to LindellTV's top shows. Follow your favorites and watch their newest content flow right into your feed. And when they go live on Vocal, you can join the live chat and be part of the action. Ask questions, share your thoughts, even help shape future shows. Stay informed on issues around securing our elections by following your state's Cause of America account. Join a group and connect on a deeper level, from faith and freedom to the future of our nation. Go to vocal.com or download the app today and be a part of the mission to save our country.
If you want to drop extra pounds, boost energy levels, and reduce swelling in your legs and feet, then this message is for you. Pure Health Research is on a mission to make America healthy again, and two of their best-selling health supplements are leading the way. First is Liver Health Formula. Over 100 million Americans have a sluggish liver that's riddled with fatty deposits. This can kill your metabolism, pile on the pounds, and make you feel tired. Liver Health Formula takes care of that. It supports thriving liver health with special nutrients like artichoke extract and milk thistle. This is one of the easiest ways to slim down and revitalize your energy levels. Next is lymph system support. If you struggle with fluid buildup or swelling in your legs, ankles, and feet, this is for you. The natural ingredients in lymph system support help gently flush away extra fluid and toxins out of your body. And right now, for a limited time, you can get 35% off Liver Health Formula and Lymph System Support, along with 50 plus other health supplements that Pure Health Research has to offer. So head over to purehealthresearch.com and use promo code Lindell at checkout. That's purehealthresearch.com, promo code Lindell to save 35% on your order today.
Welcome back to DC Dispatch. You know, today the left is celebrating the death of Christian kids, vilifying prayer, blaming Trump. It's no wonder so many have walked away from the Democrat Party, which has just gotten completely insane. How far does this delusion go? Before people will walk away. Well, joining me to discuss is Brandon Straka, the founder of the Walkaway campaign that's inspired millions to leave the Democratic Party and embrace conservative values. Since his viral 2018 video sparked a grassroots movement, a former liberal from New York who's now a leading voice in political activism, Brandon's here to share his journey and insights. Brandon, thank you so much for joining me. Very excited to have you here.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes. So you always kind of wonder, like, at what point will people stop defending the lunacy? It's always wild to see what's going on. What do you think? Do you think that people are going to be at their breaking point? Or will this delusion just continue to go further and further down?
Well, I was having this conversation recently. I was talking on an interview yesterday, and I was being asked the question, why are so many Democrats, even Democrat leaders, so they want to focus so much on insulting Trump and demonizing Trump, but they want to ignore basically all of the policies that their own party is pushing. And I said, well, look, if your party had been hijacked by radicals on the left who are now pushing extreme socialism, communism, defunding the police, abolishing ICE, open borders, decriminalizing everything. I mean, I'm in New York City right now, and my primary mission is fighting Mom Donnie here in New York. And this is a guy who just the other day announced he wants to decriminalize all misdemeanor charges, which includes simple assaults. It includes drugs, selling and doing drugs on the streets and things. So this is what the Democrats are at this point. And I'd say that their party has become so radicalized that a lot of people, I think, are just, you have two choices. You can either leave it or you can deflect and, try to focus all of your attention on trying to convince people what a terrible person Donald Trump and the Republicans are. But, I just think that for a lot of people, uh, they don't know what to do because they realize that they've lost control of their party.
Yeah. I think we talk about the woke a lot, and that actually served, I think this woke movement served to actually wake people up, ironically, and be like, yeah, I'm not on board with that. Like, this is just going too far on so many levels, as you say, radicalized. And it's helped people to see the light, walk away. But I've been seeing lately this term woke right. And I'm not sure what that's about. I've been seeing it used here and there. I don't even know what it is. Are you aware of what this woke right is? And is that an actual thing, or are they just trying to make that stick?
I've been hearing that term a lot too. And to be honest with you, I haven't gotten a satisfactory answer about what it means either. I'm not totally sure. But one thing I will say is I am a big fan of the truth, period. I'm an even bigger fan of the pursuit of truth. And I don't believe that we can pursue truth and get facts and answers if we're always walking in lockstep and we're always agreeing with each other. I think the
Mhm.
best way to get to the truth is discussion, debate, argument. And for so many, I've been in this business now for 7.5 years. And during that time, there have been many people on the conservative side. Now, I'm a registered Republican now. I've been very pro MAGA for, God, 7.5 years, something like that. But there are times that I don't agree with Donald Trump. There are times I don't agree with some of the thought leaders in the conservative movement. There are times that the collective conservative movement is getting behind something that doesn't feel right to me. And in the past, when I've tried to disagree with certain people or certain ideas, I've had a lot of people on the right say, stop the infighting, and oh, we're all on the same team. And it's just, it doesn't sit well with me because I think, look, we should all be speaking our minds, telling the truth, speaking up when we don't agree with something, and sometimes we're going to disagree with our own side. So all of this to say, I see right now that a lot of people are freaking out because they feel like, conservatives aren't necessarily in lockstep on every issue. I think it's really healthy. I think it's a really good thing. And I think that we should be disagreeing with each other at times because we're not a cult. And, if there is a woke right, I don't know exactly what that means, but I actually love the idea that we're going to not necessarily, come together on every single issue. And if people are saying or doing things that we disagree with, that we're going to speak out against that. I think that's a healthy and productive thing.
I'm 100% with you. And I love that you're saying that, because I've been saying that for a long time now. I noticed when I broke away from Lamestream media and went independent, I was talking to all different kinds of people. And then suddenly, oh, this person's on out because outs, you shouldn't talk to them. And people would try and like demand that I not talk to people. I'm like, I left mainstream media because I wanted to stop being told who I can and can't talk to,
Right.
and just have one narrative, right? Like, so that's always bothered me. So the more people that say that, I just really welcome it, because we are not a hive mind like the left. We should be able to have discussions and disagree, and we should be held to a higher standard of holding this current administration responsible, holding them to account, making sure that we're questioning this administration, because we didn't have that with the last administration. So we have, I think, even bigger duty to do that. Even if we think we're Team Trump, well, all the more reason that you need to hold these people accountable and do what the left were too weak to do, and challenge thoughts and ideas. So 100% on board with you on that. I love that. But I do want to talk about your event that's coming up. But I just have one more thing I wanted to, at least one more thing to hit with you. I've noticed also that it seems like some Democrats are starting to wake up a little bit, but not to the point of leaving, but trying to save their party, because they're like, oh, wait, we did get too extreme. Whoopsies. That's kind of like what I'm feeling right now. Just with this latest example of the Cracker Barrel, I noticed that immediately when people are complaining about Cracker Barrel, you had a lot of the grifters on the left that were being like, no, we actually don't like it either. And even the Democrat X account itself was saying, no, this logo sucks, And so I'm like, that's interesting. Are they trying to break away from their like hating everything? And even, we have the DC mayor suddenly flipping, saying she's suddenly grateful for Trump's help on crime. And then let's not forget about Gavin, who's basically trying to copy Donald Trump and acting all super tough and kind of talking like Trump now. So I was wondering if you had any thoughts on that. Do you think that some are trying to give the Democratic Party a rebrand or a makeover?
I think so. And I mean, even if you look, one of my least favorite people is Bill Maher. And I have to say, the reason why he's one of my least favorite people is because he's so inconsistent and flip flops on everything. Just when I think that Bill Maher is on the brink of walking away, he snaps back and goes right back into some very like sort of leftist minded diatribe about whatever is going on at that moment. But I will say, people like Bill Maher and others are starting to kind of be like, stop with all of the gender radicalization stuff. Stop with all of the woke nonsense. It's like they're getting it, and I think they're starting to even be able to predict a little bit when it's going to blow up in their face or backfire. I was thrilled with what I saw with the Cracker Barrel incident, because they very quickly walked it back. And to me, I thought, like, this is, to me, I think woke is dead. And if it's not dead, it is so on life support. Like, call the mortician, because there's going to be a funeral very, very soon. We're very, very close. I mean, honestly, I think, and someone asked me the other day, they said, can people get canceled anymore, do you think? And my instinct was to say, well, of course. But then I had to think about it for a second. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know, because I don't know that we're to the point now where people feel like they have to keep apologizing, go on some big, apology tour if they do something that offends the woke left. I think that we're kind of at this crossroads now, or maybe even past the crossroads, where it carries that much weight or power. Is being labeled a racist, or is being labeled whatever, such a threat anymore that anyone has to come out and be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I take it all back. I think at this point, if they're going to come after you, don't apologize, don't back down. It's going to blow over. There's more people on your side these days than against you. And in fact, to the contrary, looking at the Cracker Barrel incident again, there's more people who are going to speak out against woke culture than are going to defend it, I think, at this point. So, let wokeism die, and anybody on the left who's still trying to protect their party, whatever, they're in a dying camp.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are getting more truth out there. We're done getting gaslit about so many topics. I think that also helped to wake people up. But I wanted to ask you again before we talk about the event this weekend, which I'm excited to do. But January 6th, that is something that we are still kind of waiting for the actual truth to come out about. It's kind of frustrating that we still don't know anything about the pipe bomber, even though that was promised as something that they would reveal right away. And, there's some that feel like they've been vindicated for the persecution, but you were somebody that was viciously attacked for this. Has enough been done to make people whole? We got some whistleblowers back. What do you think?
No, not enough has been done. And I'm not hopeful that I'm just not hopeful, honestly, that that any sort of justice or vindication is necessarily going to come. Because I can tell you, for instance, my case, which never should have been a case, because if people don't know, I never entered the Capitol on January 6th. I wasn't even on the same side of the building as where a riot had occurred. I didn't engage in any violence, vandalism, theft, or destruction. I didn't even witness any violence, vandalism, theft, or destruction. I quite literally stood outside of the building for 8 minutes shooting a video of the doors being opened, and some people were walking inside the open doors. And I uploaded that to Twitter. And the whole reason why a case was created against me is because a corrupt FBI agent made up details that did not happen, charged me with 3 felonies and a misdemeanor, put me in a position where it was become a multi-convicted felon or take their plea deal, which I did, like so many other people did. And when I took their plea deal, I had to confess to doing things I didn't do, which were things that he made up and created. That FBI agent is still employed by the FBI.
Wow.
I have put out multiple posts. His name is Jeremy Desor. I'm just going to say, an FBI agent named Jeremy Desor created a fake case against me. I have talked about him repeatedly on X and on Facebook. I have tagged Kash Patel. I have tagged Dan Bongino. These posts I've written about him have been reposted thousands and thousands of times. There is a 0% chance that it has not been seen by Dan Bongino or Kash Patel. And yet this man continues to be employed by the FBI. So what he did to me, he still has the ability to do to any other person in the MAGA movement because he still holds his job. It's inexplicable when I try to, this brings us back to our original conversation. There are people, when I ask the question, why does he still have his job? Why does he still have his job? There are a lot of people on the conservative side of the aisle who want to attack me and call me a troublemaker and say things like, well, it hasn't been long enough. It hasn't been long enough. Give Kash and Dan time. I don't know how much time it takes to fire somebody who tried to destroy the life of many people in the MAGA movement, innocent people, including somebody who has gotten hundreds of thousands of people to leave the Democratic Party and vote for the very people who have allowed Dan Bongino and Kash Patel to have the jobs that they have. But nonetheless, am I hopeful that there will be justice? Yes, I'm hopeful. But the evidence that I'm shown on a daily basis doesn't really demonstrate that that justice is coming anytime soon.
Well, I think that makes you inspiring because, it's maddening just to hear. I can't imagine how maddening it must be to experience. And yet you are following your convictions and you're not allowing that resentment, that bitterness that would definitely, would definitely hit me if I were in your position. You're not allowing that to make you stray from the cause and your convictions, not letting certain people affect that. So that's really inspiring, Brandon. Thank you. And I hope and encourage everyone to continue to put pressure on this because people did it for those whistleblowers that have made it back. They did campaign for them. They wanted them to be made right. And you absolutely should have vindication and this affects not just you but so many people as the case that you laid out. So I hope people will really follow that and start putting even more pressure on because we can make a difference with our many voices. And that brings me to why you're coming together this weekend. Many voices coming together make a difference. So tell me about what's going on this weekend.
Yeah, so I'm in New York City to fight against Zoran Mamdani, and I really am going to do everything within my power and the power of my organization and my network to stop this, what I call the socialist insurgency, trying to take over New York City. And so one of many things that we're doing, including we've currently built out the largest volunteer canvassing effort against Mamdani in New York City. We have hundreds, soon to be thousands of volunteers who are going to be helping us canvassing and making phone calls and text messages, doing outreach efforts all over the boroughs of New York City. In addition to that, we are hosting rallies and events all over the city. And the next one is this Saturday in Washington Square Park. It begins at 1 o'clock. We're asking everyone to gather in Washington Square Park at noon. And it's really cool what we're doing, because we're doing a rally that's going to last about 2 hours. And then when that's over, we're going to do a live open mic street debate where we encourage people from New York City to approach the mic. We'll have several of our speakers behind a table, and they can ask questions, they can open up discussion, or they can debate us on our message, which is that we must not embrace socialism, we must not embrace communism in New York City. We did this event 2 weeks ago in Union Square. It was a great success. We had a great number of New Yorkers approach the microphone. Some of them said that they intend to vote for Zoran Mamdani and asked us why they shouldn't. And I like to believe that we change some hearts and minds, and that's what we're all about. We're trying to basically tell people, look, we understand why you would be swept up in the message of someone like Zoran Mamdani, who's offering you free housing, free transportation, free electricity, free school, free healthcare. But these policies not only won't work, they're not only false promises, but any progress that he makes in trying to implement these policies is going to ultimately lead to the destruction of our city. And they're going to have the most consequential impact on the people that he's promising to help the most, which are low income people, people who are already suffering and struggling. These are the people who are going to shoulder the largest burden of any of these policies he wants to implement. So I am trying to fight radical socialist takeover of New York City. And I'm asking anybody out there to get behind what we're doing. So if you're in the New York area, come out. This Saturday, August 30th, come to Washington Square Park. We're meeting at noon, kicking off the rally at 1, and then the live street debate around 3 o'clock. We have hundreds of New Yorkers, hopefully more, who are going to be joining us for this event. So come on out, because it's going to be an amazing and inspiring day. And if people want to, please register. Go to walkawaycampaign.com/events, sign up to come out and join us. And we're going to have an incredible day. And we're going to beat the communists in New York City.
Yes, I love it. And I hope that you get another huge turnout. I love the concept. And, you know, it really blows your mind that he could have even gotten this far. I mean, he can't bench press. he was a really
No.
bad former rapper. But beyond that, the more serious things are that, you know, in a time when people are seeing so much violence and so much crime in the cities, the fact, like, as you said, that he wants to decriminalize things even further. It blows your mind that anybody would be like, sure, that sounds great. I don't get it.
No, it's insane. But I think it just goes to show how much impact that the media has had on so many people, because there are so many people who have this mindset that they would vote for anyone before they would vote for a Republican or vote for somebody conservative. Now, we know that there's not just Republicans on the ticket. You know, we've also got Democrats like Mayor Adams and Andrew Cuomo. But, you know, I think that so many New Yorkers have been struggling for so long. And so many have bought into this message that the media has been pushing for so long about white supremacy and things like that. So you've got this guy here who's, you know, he's not American born, and he comes into our country and basically, you know, espouses these same values about, you know, toxic Americanism and white supremacy, and says, look, I'm here to offer you all these things for free, and you shouldn't have to be struggling this much as a New Yorker. Now, that's true. I do think that New Yorkers are struggling too much, and rents are too high, and groceries are unaffordable. But these are not the answers. These are not the solutions. And so we don't just fall prey to communism just because we have hard times. And I think this is how this has happened so many times in the past. You look at charismatic leaders throughout history who have pushed socialism or communism, which has led to the downfall of nations and states all across the globe. They come in at a time, when people are facing hard times, and they're charismatic and they make promises that they can't keep. And then the next thing you know, the government is in full control of people's lives, and people are suffering and going, oh my God, what did I do? What did I do? And so what I want to try to do is get that message out now and stop people from making this choice, because it is going to have an absolutely cataclysmic impact on people's lives. And so we just can't allow it to happen.
Absolutely. Well, I really hope that people will follow you on X at Brennan Straka, and make sure that they register for this event and join the cause, join the Walk Away campaign. And just to wrap it up, do you have any quick advice on how we can reach people like you? Like, what is there a way that or something or that you heard, or what was it that helped you turn away? Like, how can we take that and reach other people and wake them up?
Yeah, sure. So I would say the one thing I always tell people, I get that question a lot, is I think it's important for conservatives, when they're messaging what their policies are that they believe in or what their values are, to establish what I call mutual core values. And what I mean by that is that the left believes that they have a monopoly on kindness, compassion, caring about marginalized people. And they believe that that conservatives, Republicans are greedy, self-interested people. And so what I say is, when kind of messaging what your value system is, let people know that the policies that you believe in are kind and compassionate. Whether it's how you feel about abortion or how you feel about our borders or the economy, there are ways in which you can say, look, you liberal, you claim to care about marginalized Black people or brown people or immigrants, yet you're supporting policies that are actually harming the Black community. They're actually harming Hispanics or immigrants. I support policies like strong borders, where we're vetting the people who come into our country, which keeps low-income neighborhoods safe. When we have people flooding across our borders unvetted, people are going, it's costing low-income people jobs, poor people are suffering, Black neighborhoods, Hispanic neighborhoods, crime is skyrocketing, drugs are infiltrating into these communities, killing children. So you can't claim to be kind and compassionate and support Democrat policies. So I think that we need to do a better job of sort of establishing these core values that we have in common, which is, I care about racial minorities, I care about women, I care about immigrants. That's why I support conservative values, because they're actually kind, compassionate, and effective at helping those communities.
Excellent. That's so good. All right. Well, thank you so much, Brandon. Again, follow him on X and make sure you register for the event this weekend and get involved any way you can. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yep. All right. We're going to take a quick break. And when we return, I'll see how much I can cover the new information about that vicious attack on a Catholic school.
Whether it's being a weekend warrior or spending time with your family, feeling your best is the key to doing the things you love. That's why I'm excited to tell you about Nirvanta. It's a natural solution designed to help you stay active and live well naturally. Nirvanta is a topical blend of all natural essential oils like frankincense, myrrh, and a proprietary gold standard plant stock extract. It's perfect for your hands, feet, knees, back, or anywhere else that needs a little extra care. Use Nirvanta proactively as part of your daily maintenance routine, and you're guaranteed you're going to feel the difference. Simply massage Nirvanta in for at least 60 seconds, 2 to 3 times a day to get the best results. And if you're not completely satisfied, you get your money back. No questions asked. There's simply no risk and no reason not to try Nirvanta today. Right now, you get 15% off with code Lindell exclusively at nirvantahealth.com. So stop reaching out for that medicine cabinet. Get Nirvanta instead and experience the difference. Go to nirvantahealth.com. Use code Lindell to get 15% off today. Nirvanta Health. Live well naturally. With everybody talking about making America healthy again, I thought today'd be a great day to talk to all my fellow patriots about the importance of making your homes healthy again. Well, we have proudly partnered with airwaterhealing.com and their revolutionary whole home air purification system. The V3 from Air Water Healing does 3,000 square feet of purification. It eliminates dust, mold, viruses, and odors. But here's the part I love. They require no filters to ever be changed and virtually no maintenance. Whether you suffer from asthma, allergies, seasonal bronchitis, or just want to protect your family from the flu or even greater threats, don't wait to get your V3 from airwaterhealing.com today. Use code Lindell for 20% off in savings and free shipping. That's promo code Lindell at airwaterhealing.com.
You know, it was only a couple years ago that a mentally ill trans person walked into a Christian school to kill kids. And here we are again. And here we are again with how the legacy media is treating it. It's unbelievable. Corporate media outlets like Washington Post, NBC News, and ABC are under fire for using preferred feminine pronouns like she and her to describe the 23-year-old trans-identifying male, Robin Westman, who killed 2 kids, age 8 and 10, and injured 17 others by firing through the windows like a true coward would of the Catholic Church in Minneapolis during their school mass. This echoes past coverage of the Nashville shooter, which I mentioned, Audrey Hale, where media tweaked stories to fit gender identities, according to the Daily Caller News Foundation. And now we have ABC News reporter Aaron Katersky, not sure how you say his name. He's getting absolutely roasted online for a misleading claim in his report on the Minneapolis church shooting. He noted that the shooter's weapon had Trump written on it, but left out the full "kill Donald Trump" phrase, sparking accusations of bias and trying to paint it as a pro-Trump attack instead of an anti-Trump hate. Here's the clip.
23-year-old Robin Westman was able to leave what police called a video manifesto that they're now going through to try and establish motive. We've also been going through it and can tell you there are crude diagrams of the church. There are also photos of the weapons, and they include all sorts of writings, the names of past mass shooters, criticism of Israel, the name of President Trump written on the guns. There are also racial slurs, nihilistic statements, all painting the picture of a disturbed individual who.
So did you notice that he's like also racial slurs? They're trying every way to try and paint this guy as a white nationalist Trump supporter with their misleading things that they say, as opposed to the left liberal nutjob trans person. Another case of violence coming from that community, right? And they're trying to cover for the trans shooter. Remember how long it took them to release the trans shooter manifesto there in Nashville? Well, now thanks to independent media, we've seen the Minneapolis manifesto right away. Yet they don't know why this happened. You just can't at all figure out a motive. It's just so I just don't know, even though they have it all right in front of their face. Watch this.
So right now we don't have a clear motive to establish for why he did this at the church today. We're obviously open to every possibility, and we're hopeful that once we are able to go through the scene, all of the evidence that's collected, that we'll be able to better provide answers for our community.
Yeah.
Do you have eyes to see, ears to hear? It's right in there. There's an 11-minute video that we all had access to, and we could see he had hatred of the Christian community. He's had that gun that said "kill Trump," and he even talked about his gender confusion. So when are we going to acknowledge this as an epidemic? Aren't journalists supposed to track trends? I don't know, maybe investigate when there's things that affect the community on such a large scale. Libs of TikTok made a list. Here it is: Minnesota shooting, church shooting, trans, Republican Party firebombing, gender fluid, Nashville shooter, trans, and it goes on and on of all these different shootings, non-binary, trans, gender fluid. There's a pattern. Hello. You learn this in preschool videos. Pattern. It's pattern. Here's pattern. Instead, it's just easier for them to be like, oh, it's the guns. Not not mental problems, not the fact that these people are trans. It's just easier for them to blame it on everything. It's an epidemic, and we need to acknowledge it. And thankfully, some people, small number of them, are acknowledging it and facing the truth. And that's our responsibility to see the truth and spread the truth. All right. Well, that is all the time I have. I want to encourage you to keep it right here on LindellTV White House Coverage Live, where we have so much more coverage on this and new information on the DC crime and so much more. We'll get to some things I didn't get to tomorrow, perhaps, but that's all the time I have for you today. I'm Kristi Leigh, and that's DC Dispatch.